different music. So we have Anat, who was born in Tel Aviv, and we have Hamilton, who is from Brasilia. I used to always look at that in books when I was growing up, and it was known as one of the most futuristic cities in the world. So to know him, I can't get over that. And we're going to start by talking about ragtime. What is ragtime and the different properties of ragtime? So I'm going to start with the question I have for you, Victor. Is how did you encounter this music?
Well, first of all, welcome everyone. It's great to be here. Man, I can remember when we were younger playing an elementary school band, and all of us had to play the entertainer, and it was just there at the beginning of it all. Little did I understand or know what I was really playing. But as I have been fortunate enough to study what's happening, ragtime music is so fundamental to everything that we play in the music today. It has syncopation in it, it has rhythms, it has swing in it, and the harmonic function that come out of the marching bands of John Philip Sousa and James Reese Europe. And everything that makes jazz what it is inside of ragtime.
When you say it has syncopation, what do you mean?
Well, syncopation can be defined in so many different ways. From a musical perspective, we always say it's taking something that's usually on a strong beat and put it on a weak beat. In life, we say it's the unexpected. Coronavirus is a syncopation. We certainly didn't expect that. We didn't see it coming. But in music, if we had a stationary beat like this, and normally we'll go bang, dang, dang, dang. Then we get on that off beat. Boom, bing, ding, 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 ding. That's the unexpected or the weak part of the beat. So when you have something like boo, boo, doo, bee, boo, bee, boo, bee, boo, doo, boo, bee, boo, doo, bee, boo, bee, boom, and those off beats. And Scott Joplin, who was considered the king of ragtime, he would write things that would not only be syncopated within the measure, but it would go across the measures, across the bar lines. So all of those syncopations help propel the music to go forward.
Mm-hmm. What is it? What did you love about ragtime? Because I know we hear ragtime music, we think of something real old. Even old as we are, we thought of something really old. What is it that possibly could have compelled you to want to know something about it, or what did you love about the sound of it?
Well, little did I know about the sophistication of it when I was younger. I just loved something about it within the sound of it. Made me gravitate towards the complexity of it, made me want to be able to play something that was just that challenging. And then ultimately, when I started to understand more about it, especially as we did that concert at Jazz at Lincoln Center a couple of years, Anat and I, the roots of ragtime and the roots of choros, little did I realize how related ragtime and choro really are. They're like brothers and sisters, if not that close, then cousins at least. But I think they're very related inside the same family.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna go over to a gentleman who defines that form today. He's born in Brasilia. What can I say about him? He's from a musical family. He since 6 he's playing the mandolin. He was a professional at 6 years old. His first instrument was a melodica, and he led a movement to have National Congress in Brazil declare a day National Choral Day. And since 2000, April 23rd, in the nation has been known as National Choral Day. He's innovated so many things, from the 10-string bandolin that he plays, to the way he approaches social change, to so many musicians. He's such a natural musician. He plays with so many people. I could just go on and on about him, but I'm gonna go right over to Hamilton de Holanda, who is with us. You all heard before from Rio, but I want to ask him, how did you first encounter your music, and what is it that you loved about choro?
So first, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you, Wynton, and your friends, Victor, Anat, and all of you. It's a real pleasure to be here because I love choro, I love ragtime, and we have this beautiful relationship, this beautiful friendship between both. And in reality, I was born here in Rio de Janeiro, but I grew up in Brasilia since 11 months. So my citizenship is from Brasilia. So I'm from Brazil. And the first friends of my father was the guys from the Choro Club, Clube do Choro de Brasília. So the first music I listened was choro, also bossa nova, but choro was my first way in the music universe. So and I love this music because it's a music has like a union between the person, the musicians and the people. So choro is a social like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have to we have to be all together when we play choro. It's like you know, and so é isso por enquanto.
So if you got your instrument, you got your instrument with you?
Yeah, I have here.
Can you just give us an example of the type of song of
So,
one of the early songs you heard?
Yeah, but about Scott Joplin, we have a piano player and composer called Ernesto Nazaret. He lives in the same time, and I think the composition from Nazaret is like to next
close, yeah,
close by right time. For example, if I play there is also syncopation, and the left hand we have a little bit different rhythm because we have like this. Or we can have this. Because Nazaré was a composer de tango, Brazilian tango, because in his time, at his time, we didn't have choro like a genre. We have polkas and waltz and some European genre, but when polka arrives in Brazil, the musicians put like a flavor, tropical flavor,
right?
Rhythm tropical flavor, and transform in another kind of music. Before choro was the machixe. Machixe is like more like swing, more swing. And a lot of syncopation. And today we have many musicians in Brazil who did records with both composers, Scott Joplin and Ernesto Nazaré.
So they put them together.
Exactly.
They have like an understanding of it.
Exactly.
So I want to go over to Anat. Thank you very much, Milton. You know, we all in here together, man. Every time you start playing, I imagine I'm in front of you. You know, every time I like to look at you when you're playing, because when you get into your vibe, you have that intensity. So I'm gonna go over to Anat, who also comes from a musical family, with her brothers playing trumpet and saxophone, and she attended Tel Aviv School of the Arts. She has all kind of education. Ended up at Berkeley. But she has played with so many musicians. She has a deep love of Brazilian music, and she's recorded all kinds of recordings in Rio de Janeiro. She's there now, and she the people embrace her and love her. In all of the cultures, and in the Brazilian culture, they love her playing. Paquito de Rivera, who's one of the greatest clarinetists ever, announces her and says she's one of the greatest players ever on the clarinet, and he is truly not lying. She is at home with a lot of styles, but she also brings an infectious joy and an ease and a kind of really pure intelligence to the playing of music that is uplifting. So we're happy to have her with us tonight. And I'm gonna just start with what I'm asking everybody. What you coming all the way from Tel Aviv, what in the world attracted you to choro? And how did you go from there?
Well, thank you for this lovely introduction, and thank you for inviting me. And hi, everybody. This is the choro music for me. It has a direct connection to the fact that I play the clarinet, because when I grew up in Israel and I was playing clarinet, and I got into playing jazz, and I was discouraged from playing clarinet because people said that it's out of fashion. Just bring your brother's saxophone, or bring any saxophone, just don't bring the clarinet. And I went, I focused on the tenor saxophone for many years. I went into college at the Berklee College of Music, and Berklee College of Music had a lot of international students just like me, coming to explore the language of jazz, and coming to the source, coming to the US, and that's where I met some other international students, and a lot of Brazilian people were there, and I got introduced to choro in Boston, and suddenly I was invited to play clarinet, and I found music that I don't have to be apologetic about playing my clarinet. And I felt like I can, first of all, I had to dust off the case, because, it was kind of, it was waiting for me, but I was not really focusing on it. But, and when I started to play it, I almost treated it like it's a serious technical study. So I was fascinated by the music, first of all, just by the technicality of it, and how, as a jazz musician, that the fact that, and as a classical musician, because I studied classical music, I found that there was something about this combination of, you need to play the melody can be very demanding, but you can also improvise and also play counter lines. And since I knew about the music of New Orleans, and I loved how, the clarinet can do all this polyphony with the trumpet and the trombone and play lines. And I was like, oh, you can improvise, play the melody, play counter lines, use rhythm. So there was something about this music that I found fascinating. And then when I moved to New York in 99, I started to play this music. I had my friend Pedro Ramos, who plays cavaquinho, is from São Paulo, and together we had the choro ensemble. It was a band that played choro in New York, and well, nobody else played choro in New York. So I got into this music mostly by playing it, and only a year later I went to Rio de Janeiro for the first time. It was the end of the year 2000, and my life was never the same. I mean, I discovered the whole culture around the music, the way people sit together, the way people sit in a circle, how the music is such an inclusive music, and how you pass it along, and you share the moment, and you share the happiness of existing, and how you have to have so much skill, but yet it's been played a lot in a very informal situation, that it almost seems like, and a lot of time it has people have a beer in front of them, so it seems like it's very relaxed. But on the other hand, it takes a serious concentration and serious skill. And I was fascinated by what the music has to brings out of people, and how it connects people. I mean, I can go on and on, but basically
no, it's good. It's great. It's great.
and I became a clarinet player. I dedicated myself to this music, and it brought me back to have chops on the clarinet. And I came back to New York, and I wanted everybody in New York to come play with the Shore Ensemble. At the time, we had a weekly gig in a little French bistro in the East Village called Jules. And I was going around and telling all the cats, all the jazz kids, come on, come play with us, come play with us. But, you know, when you want to play a shoro, you have to really know the melody. Now, of course, cats can hear the harmony and they can improvise on it, but the point is not to come and just blow a solo. The idea is to really play all the parts. So there were just a handful of musicians that actually, you know, they would come into the gig, and some of them would bring their music stand and the music, and some would learn a song by heart. But I really tried to encourage a lot of people, and I really wanted to expand the community and, you know, to make people know about this music, because I was fascinating, and I still am. And I am in Rio de Janeiro right now. And I love Shoro, if not just for what it is, just for the fact that it changed my life.
Wow. Okay. Well, I want to pick up on a couple of things you said, but I want to ask one part of what you said. I want to ask to Victor. I know Victor knows a lot about people having beers in their hands because he's from New Orleans. So he grew up seeing a whole pile of people with beers and everything else in their hand when he played gigs. What do you find in terms of the cultural similarities? Like Anat was saying, that she embraced the music as an overall culture, and the music was not just technically demanding or something you had to shed on your horn, but there was also a way of life, a spirit. I love when she was speaking, because you could feel it when the way she was explaining it. You could feel what it brought to her understanding of the cultural connection with the music. People sitting in a circle, kind of informal way people deal with a thing that has a musical formality to it. What do you see? Are there any similarities between that and ragtime?
Well, one of the disconnects, I think, is that, and you know, when we grew up in New Orleans, I mean, there weren't a lot of people trying to play ragtime. We were just happy if they had some piano players who were working their left hand. You know, the idea of the whole stride component of ragtime. So, if anything, that's one thing that is a disconnect, because in Choro, from what I have known, and from the last time we went to Brazil, we had the pleasure of being in people's home, engaging with them on the music and all, and the fact that it was a community thing. But the ragtime in modern times, and especially in our time of growing up, that wasn't so much a community thing. So, you know, we didn't have the kind of exposure to it like they have to choros in Brazil. They embraced that as their cultural music, their cultural treasure. While jazz is American treasure, ragtime was kind of lost in the shuffle for a while until some of these young masters came back. Marcus Roberts, Aaron Deal, Eric Reed, you know, people who started embracing the idea of, and it did stride, and a lot of them do stride, but still authentic ragtime, that's a whole nother story, because there's a different kind of syncopation to that as opposed to playing obligato lines over a left hand that's striding, which is a very challenging deal. But nonetheless, the stride in ragtime are somewhat, while they're similar, they're very different to really, you know, embrace that.
Okay, I want to pick up on one thing before I go back over to Hamilton. She was talking about the clarinet, and there people were telling you keep that clarinet in the case. Now, you know, we grew up playing funk, pop gigs, some jazz gigs, but if you weren't playing New Orleans music, it wasn't too much clarinet being played to play jazz. So do you find a similarity with what Anat was saying in terms of being a clarinet player? You grew up, you started on the clarinet, being able to find like similarities with all the kind of obligato parts and the clarinets playing with the trumpets, and also the experience of people saying, man, we don't want to hear clarinet. If you don't have a saxophone, a soprano sax is okay, but don't bring that clarinet up in there.
Well, some people don't want to hear that soprano either. Yeah. It sounds like something else, something in pain. But yeah, I did encounter a lot of what Anat is talking about. It's a very, very it's a real thing, because culturally, the music that existed in our cultural experiences, our homes and things like that, were not necessarily clarinet driven. If we were fortunate to be around people who embraced classical music in the clarinet, then that was acceptable. But you know, we listened to the Temptations and the Four Tops and Cameo and all that kind of stuff. Man, the clarinet didn't have a chance in the world of being out there in the popular scene. You know, you might be in a marching band at high school on the clarinet. Then they put you in the back of the band. I mean, you're disposable. You know? But in the music that she's talking about, is very present. And like she mentioned about the technical aspect of it, of wanting to engage in that. You know, if you walk up on a Charo jam session, you might be engaging in something that you might leave with barely a read. You know, I mean, that's a serious engagement. First of all, they're not going to play in B flat. They're going to be in A and G and E, all things that are clarinetist nightmares. Am I wrong in that?
Nope, you're absolutely right.
So, you know, you walk into a Charles jam session, you better come armed with Band-Aids to be able to take the hit and everything else along the way. You know, but in New Orleans, it was the same kind of thing too, because also the traditional gigs that took place in New Orleans were few and far between. So you had to be fortunate enough to be around people who will allow you to play it. And it's quite different from playing marching bands like we did with Danny Barker or with what was
Doc Paulin.
Doc Paulin. Yeah, you know, you came out there with a clarinet, you were just another body. You couldn't be heard. Everybody was playing over you again. So it took a long time to really get up in there. I mean, Michael White was fortunate enough to be up in that circle and all. I was lucky. Don Vappy actually kind of kept at me to want to play the clarinet in terms of New Orleans situations. And I was really lucky when I got, fortunately, my fortune was Don Vappy's unfortunate situation. He couldn't make a gig. So he sent Danny Barker as a sub. I had a whole day with Danny Barker. Man, I talked to Danny Barker the whole time. He probably said, man, can you please just make the gig? But at the end of it all...
Let me just explain one thing. Don Vappy is a fantastic guitarist and banjoist, grew up with us playing in the funk bands. And Danny Barker played with Louis Armstrong and Cab Calloway. He's a legendary old man that taught all of us how to play New Orleans music.
Yeah, so Danny Barker was the one who told me, he said, man, just keep playing. Just keep playing the clarinet. Don't let anybody discourage you. Just keep at it. It'll come. And I'm very grateful to have had that one opportunity to be in his presence, to hear those profound words, which allowed me to try to continue to play it. And then, as it would be in the most current times in the past 25 years of being with Jazz at Lincoln Center, I have been able to look back upon the many things that I grew up in New Orleans and realize how they fit inside of the puzzle of this whole tradition of music, both in New Orleans, in America, in Brazil, and around the world.
Okay, so I wanna pick up on another thing that Anat said is very important, and I want to go over to Hamilton because he's like a combination of activist, kind of genius musician. That she was saying, and I want to really highlight what she said. She was in New York City, going around to different musicians saying, "Come down and play this music with us." That takes a lot to do. It rolls off your tongue, but and she's such an effusive person. She has the type of personality that is embracing. But she was she was out there like a missionary. Come down and learn this music. And she's from Tel Aviv. Come down here and play. Now, once you get down there, you realize, wow, they're playing songs that have 4 strings, or they're playing in these different keys. So you got to come down there ready. But that spirit, Hamilton has embodied that in his own country, because many times you live in a country and the people of that country don't respect the depth of the artistry in the music that is native. He's an example of someone who has fought inside of his country to illuminate everybody. He's a great educator, and he has been on a campaign for so long. Though, even though he's still a very young man, he's been on a campaign for a long time to do what Anat was doing in his country for their music, saying, hey, let's check this music out. So Hamilton, I just want you to give us a sense of what it is that you were trying, that you wanted to bring to people. Why was it important that you have a National Choro Day? And do you feel that the music is old? Why would you take an old music or music that's considered archaic and try to make it be something that's a part of everyone's life?
So I think when we have a music with 150 years of history, we have not just a music to have fun or not to have concert. We have to have all the things: education, concert, have fun. So we have can you imagine, after 150 years, we have like a tesouro. Como é? Tesouro. Como diz tesouro?
Tesouro. Treasure?
Treasure, exactly.
Thank
sure
you.
Is a treasure. Obrigado, Anat. So if you have an official National Day, I think the people can see with another eyes. You understand?
Yeah.
With a view of a real importance of this music to the culture of Brazil. Our personality, culture is the show is like the first music, first popular music in Brazil. So if you have a good memory, we are intelligent, we are smart. If the count is the same, if we have memory, like have be careful with our memories, our music. We are smart, we are intelligent, so we can embrace the people and show to the young people, to the the child, and also to the old people. So it's a music. Choro is a music to a whole family of not just Brazilian but whole family. The young guys, the teenagers, also, and the old guys. So we have a tradition, a beautiful tradition, and we can play, we can teach, we can record it, we can have fun. So,
what are some of the things that you? I'm sorry, you saying something?
Wynton, I'm hearing that we've got Wynton. It's Adam. I'm hearing that we've got Reginald here with us too. If you want to bring him in.
Okay, all right. I thought Reginald wasn't going to show up here today. We got another special guest. Thank you very much, Hamilton. We're gonna
welcome.
Man, I feel so good about seeing you in Anat. It's like, one thing about this quarantine makes you really have another feeling. When you see friends that you don't see, you feel a deep kind of, it's a depth to the feeling. This guy was Reginald Robinson. He was raised in Chicago, and his older brother played the guitar, and he listened to big band jazz. The great trumpeter Orbit Davis, fantastic trumpet player and educator in Chicago, always trying to turn the kids on, much like Hamilton is saying, or like Anat is saying. Orbit has been out there for years, turning people on. And they went to a school and performed Scott Joplin's The Entertainer, which is the song Victor was singing in the beginning. And the piece interested this young gentleman. And though he had heard it many times on ice cream trucks in his neighborhood, because he grew up in the hood, he had never considered it a serious piece of music. He taught himself to play the piano, and he also composes, like Hamilton. He composes, we're talking about Choro, he talked about the tradition, but Hamilton composes a lot of music in different styles, very, very modern music. So he taught himself how to compose ragtime music in various styles. He taught himself how to compose music in different styles, and one of them is ragtime. So he writes a lot of fresh new music that will have the language of ragtime. In 2004, he won a MacArthur Genius Grant. So the rest of us are lucky just to have him on here to talk with us. And he's explored all the fantastic music of all these great musicians that we've touched on. We don't have enough time to really get in depth, but I want to invite him to get on, and I'm going to ask him the same question I ask everybody, which is, what made you love something like ragtime growing up in the age that you grew up in, and what is it that you're bringing to it? Mr. Reginald.
Well, thank you. I don't know if you can hear me well.
We can hear you.
Okay.
I like your hat, man. I like your hat. Well, you leaning it down a little bit. I like it.
Thank you. What interested me in ragtime music was Scott Joplin. The soul in his music, the depthness in his music. And I was 13 years old, and what I heard was, a true expression. My love was art. I mean, I was drawing. That was my thing. Was drawing. I was like visual art. That was my first love. And when I heard Scott Joplin's The Entertainer, which I had, I heard many times as a young child in Chicago, and living in the Henry Horner projects, on the ice cream truck during the summertime. It was just another tune, tune that that attracted us, got our attention. Children and people in the neighborhood to know that the ice cream truck was was there.
Right.
So, but when I heard Scott Joplin's music actually on the piano, and I was ready. I think at that time I was ready for it. My brother had been playing all this jazz music from the late 30s, so I gained an appreciation for that music. I thought that it was, when I heard The Entertainer, and it was just solo piano, that is what really attracted. I was like, wow, I don't need a band. The band is here on the piano. It was mysterious. To me, it was mysterious because it didn't have any words to it or anything. It was just piano, and it was like, listen. This is what the music said to me. Like, listen. Like it was just like it's like it was. I don't know really how to put it in words, but it was magical, and that's.
Well, I know you write music in the style, okay, which is unusual. Can you? Are you near your piano? Can you give us an example of something you wrote? Or just
yeah. I don't know how much I can play.
That's all right. We're not putting you on the spot. Just do whatever you can do.
Okay,
we're gonna get Anat up here with our horn if she has it, and Victor. We all gonna play. I don't know where my horn is, so I don't want to embarrass myself either.
Okay, so this, let's see. What can I play that I feel confident?
It don't have to be long. Just give us a taste.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna attempt to play a piece called "The Pride of Queen City." A little bit of the Pride of Queen City. The Pride of Queen City was a tune that I wrote in 2002, and it celebrated it was in celebration of the train line in Sedalia, Missouri, which is the town that Scott Joplin went to college, and he had his Maple Leaf Rag published in 1899. So the Pride of Queen City really meant, it was referring to the train.
Okay.
So I'll see what I can do. Okay.
Man, you sound good, man.
Well, thank
you.
You
right. That's beautiful.
That's in the it's written in the style like what they would call like the early classic ragtime style. I write in different styles.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let me ask Hamilton if he can get in there. We all on with each other, So if you want to jump in there, you got something you want to say. I just want to ask Hamilton because he writes music too. It has the vibe of Choro in it. I want to see if he got a composition, just a little snatch of it that we could hear, so people can hear how you keep the tradition alive, not just by talking about it, but you incorporate it into your music, and it doesn't hold you back from doing your thing.
Yeah, I just wrote to Jacó do Bandolim, our father of the mandolin in Brazil, Jacob of mandolin.
Mandolin, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote to him.
You know, so it's important to just the thing I love too with Hamilton is he's just always gonna be playing, and I think Anat too is like that. Like she'll have her horn out in a second. I hope you have your horn with you, Anat, because I want to go back to another thing that you were talking about, hearing like the New Orleans style and the way they would swoop up and down and play the obligato parts. And I want to know if you could just give us a little taste of some things that you see are different, or give us a little terminology so those of us who might not know that much about the clarinet can really know what you're talking about.
About the clarinet or about choro?
About playing the clarinet in choro, playing the clarinet, playing the obligato. You gave us some terminology. Like you said, you noticed in the New Orleans, they were playing the high lines, and then you noticed the choro, they were playing a similar thing. You talked about syncopation. Just give us like an example of things that you hear that are similar. It could be in the choro, and how you talked about how you can improvise. So if you could just do something to make it clear to us all of what you're talking about.
No, I guess I should have prepared something.
No, you don't.
This just reminded me of what Victor was talking about before when Hamilton was playing. Because for us, Victor is going to be in E major. I was going to be like jumping in, but this is going to be ain't no celebration for us. You know, I think some things that I always I find part of choro music, and for me in some ways it's the clarinet is perfect for that, is finding the way to embellish a melody. And the beautiful thing about choro music, and why another reason why I fell in love with it, is because if you're a classical musician and you don't know anything about improvisation, you can still play choro. You don't have to improvise. It's about the way, just like in jazz, it's about finding a way how to take a melody and make it your own, and to develop a certain vocabulary for be able to express yourself with the notes. So let's say, okay, some melodies, some slower melodies are less syncopated, obviously. Let's say you take Abel Ferreira Chorando Baixinho. So it has
beautiful.
And it has a lot of you can add vibrato, and of course when you go to the more to the faster melodies, so in some ways it's when I think like as something to play choro, and unlike the jazz, the articulation is different in many times than when I play more swung music, and
right,
because it will be less articulated. So you have to figure out how to play short and to play all the spaces. So all the 16 notes are there. So even when I don't play a note, I still play the note with nothing. So, you know, while Hamilton has a lot of strings and he can mute and play, and, you know, I can only play one note at a time, unfortunately. But if you find a clarinet that you can play more notes at a time, you just tell me. Tell me that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I was hearing Hamilton somewhere. In
No,
the background.
Y'all, you up in there? Y'all up in there normally because of the phone it doesn't match up, but y'all getting up in there good.
Yeah.
So I wanna ask Victor, because we heard Anat was talking about several concepts she talked about. Once she played the beautiful melody, and the way she played it was like the blues. I mean, the way she was just singing in it, and the kind of way she was bending the notes and laying into them has like a little esque of Sidney Bechet in it. You know, it was not imitative of it, but it had the feeling of that, and it was beautiful. And then when she started to play fast, it's something we always talk about, the difference between playing in the 16th note time and playing in a swing time. And she was talking about the distance between the notes. So what she means is when you play fast, the notes still have a distance between them, and you have to maintain. It's like the rhythm. It's a feeling. So when she has breaks, she has to keep the momentum of that. She has to keep that kind of light, buoyant feeling. So Vic, what I'm asking you about is, in terms of playing on that black stick, what about? Give me an example of like the ragtime, difference between the ragtime feeling and the swing feeling, and then how you get the sound of the wood. Like she was getting a lot of wood out of her horn when she played that slow one.
Right. Even when she played that slow one, immediately brought me back to Just a Closer Walk with Thee. And even that's not in the ragtime tradition, it brings you back to the New Orleans thing. So it's right inside of where she's coming from. I mean, they're relatives to each other. And then
so
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then if you could take that same song, if usually we play a different song over on the Happy Feet Blues or something like that on the second part of the New Orleans function, which is what we play at the jazz funerals in New Orleans. We play a dirge when we go to the cemetery because we mourn taking someone to the cemetery, but we celebrate their life as we leave. So let's just say I took Just a Closer Walk with Thee and played it in more of a celebratory ragtime style. So it would be like that in terms of rag and rhythm, maybe.
Okay. Now I wanna. We run out of time. Adam, we're gonna open up the questions, but I want to go back to Reginald because he came in there last, and I feel Hamilton. Y'all can feel him. He wants to play. He feels it, man. That's one thing that makes him so lovable. His instrument is always ready to be pulled out to give the ultimate demonstration of any concept. I want to go back to Reginald, and I want to talk about something that was implied in what Anat said when she said you have something that's really formal to play. Like, I mean, you got to be up on your horn and you have to get your technical thing together, but you're in an informal environment. So you have two opposite kind of feelings going on. And it's something also that Hamilton brought out to us when he said, hey, this music is our tradition. It has a memory in it. It's serious. You can study it, but you still can have fun. You can still come up with new things. He's letting us know and explaining to us. And indeed, him as a musician, he demonstrates that, as everybody here demonstrates. You don't have to choose between choro, your tradition, and what you're going to play. And I thought it was beautifully said. So I want to ask Reginald, because he didn't have as much FaceTime as all of us had. I'm gonna now translate that into music, which is that in ragtime, in the style of ragtime that you play, the bottom is in 4 and it's very straight. Don't think, don't think, don't. Almost like it is a march, and it has, many rags have 4-string march forms. As choro also, some of the traditional ones, you better be ready to learn some strains. But the right hand is almost doing the exact opposite. So whereas the left hand has a kind of heavy kind of dance bottom feel, march feel, the right hand has a light kind of dancing, syncopated 3 against 4, ties you into the whole kind of African tradition. I want to know, Reginald, how you think about that. And do you feel it as two opposite things when you're playing, or do you put them all together?
To me, it's all one. It's a mesh. I see them all together. It all fits together. It's one thing. You can't have one without the other. Well, no, I shouldn't say it like that. I think that because my left hand tends to. Sometimes I'll do things in my left hand that are syncopated. They're not just like a straight 4-bar, un par straight march feel.
Can you give me an example of that?
Oh my goodness, I don't think I'm ready for it right now. I don't think I'm ready for it right now. I can try it. I can do my best.
Yeah, man. That's all we doing. It's like you're in my house. You don't have to worry about it. We're not judging you. Me and Hamilton been in places with different states of repair, man. We played all kind of stuff.
Yeah. Let's see what I don't know if I can do this. This is a hard piece of music. I'm still trying to master it now.
You don't have to look. You don't have to play. Look, you don't have to play the music. Just give us an example. Just take a B flat chord or E flat. It's just a concept.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying you don't have to play the music. You could just play like the concept. Just say this is something I do on B flat, or this is something I do on D, or this put us in the keys Anat was talking about. This is something I would do on G.
Well, I'm better. I'm probably better at explaining it and playing it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm with you.
I don't know if that's the best example, because there's some parts that are more syncopated. I'm trying to think of the actual song that I can play. The idea of a syncopated passage in the left.
It's all right. You explained it to us. Here's what you explained to us. And it's important. What you explained is important, because you explained to us that you think of it as one, because sometimes that left hand is straight, but sometimes it also will go into the syncopation.
Yeah.
So it's basically the point I was bringing out was that when you play these forms, like you play a ragtime form, you play choro, you have to be ready to play a bottom and a top. And I'm gonna go over. See, I'm gonna go over to Hamilton, and I'm just gonna ask him, because another thing I like about choro is when the bass lines move. Like sometimes you listen to Pishinguin, you're playing these lines on the tenor saxophone. Man, it's unbelievable. In between that, or my other man who played with Pishinguin when he's playing the flute. What's the brother's name? Starts with an L. His last name.
Benedito.
Yeah.
Lacerda. Benedito Lacerda. Yes.
Yeah. So if you could just give us an example of like the melody kind of, and then with that moving line that goes on, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. For example, when we record 1-0, you remember when we recorded 1-0?
Yeah,
I did this. So Pixinguinha, he was like the king of counterpoint. So after he, we have here in Brazil a beautiful tradition of 7-strings guitar. So because his improvisation, his counterpoint improvisation, a guy calls Dino Sete Cordas invented a new instrument based in that tradition, in that solos from Pixinguinha. Not solo, not melody solo, but melody. Yeah, exactly. So this instrument, 7 strings, is always improvising. Always it is an instrument special because they do the accompaniment, but in the same time they improvise melodies. So for example, so this is like a beautiful tradition, 7 strings, because Pixinguinha invented this kind of playing tenor saxophone.
Didn't you add a couple of strings to the band? Did you come up with an innovation to the instrument? You put 2 strings or something on it. You play a 10-string instrument.
Yeah, exactly. Because actually, I love guitar and I love piano, also accordion. When I saw the guy playing guitar with harmony and melody and rhythm all together, so I want to do this with my mandolin. So now I have a 10 strings mandolin. Normally I have 8 strings, né? E, A, D, G. I have a low C.
Okay.
Can I just add something about just the thought about the seven string guitar, and as for whoever wants to learn about Shoro and wants to learn to play, I think it's really important to understand that there is the melody that playing the high notes that can be played by the mandolin or by the flute or the clarinet, or many different instruments actually can be soloists. But the 7-string guitar, it's a whole world by itself, and the melodies and the language of Shoro is definitely in that 7-string guitar line. So I think it's very, very important to pay attention to those melodies, and whoever wants to learn about this music, check out both melodies equally.
Yeah, I think that's very important what Anat is saying about any music that has a complexity to it and a depth. Like if you listen to Beethoven Symphony, listen to what those violas are playing. The more you get into the guts of some music. So yeah, you know, she's giving us a lot of good rare ones here tonight. Listen to them, the middle and the bottom of the music always. It's, oof. Okay, so we talked about a lot of things. I had a great time. I learned a lot, but now we're gonna open this up. You know, we like to have questions. Ask questions of anybody here. We'll pass them off and on to each other. Don't forget, we have Reginald Robinson here, Anat Cohen. We're from Hilton J. Holanda, Victor Goines. And ask us, get in here and ask us something so we can extemporize and see what we come up with. Adam?
Yeah, so it looks like we've already got a number of questions. We don't have time for too many, but we'll get to as many as we can cover. So just to quickly remind everybody, if you have a question you'd like to ask, just use the raise hand feature. So click participants in the bottom of your Zoom window, and then there in that participants tab, you can click raise hand. And then please just make sure that your full name appears as your username so we can call on you when it's your turn. First question is coming from Martin De La Rota. You're unmuted, go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. First, thank you for having me. Hi Wynton, I don't know if you remember me, we met after the Jelly Roll concert and the Abyssinian Mass. I'm from Colombia, so hi.
Okay, yeah man, of course. It wasn't that long, good to see you.
I wanted to say I'm really sorry about the passing of your father. He was a great man and a great musician.
Thank you,
so,
thank you so
yeah,
much.
I feel you.
Thank you.
I want to ask you all, what are your thoughts regarding this situation of the pandemic? Sometimes as artists, we feel a lot of frustration. We feel like we have a duty of being optimistic, of bringing joy. And it's really hard when you find yourself frustrated by not being able to create as strongly as it is needed right now. So what's your advice on that? How can we not get that frustrated and find optimism?
Well, I think what we're doing tonight is a part of it. And as you can see, nobody was frustrated. And Milton is not frustrated. Anat is not frustrated. Victor is not frustrated. Of course, you know, we're surviving. So I'm always in this situation thinking of people who are struggling to survive. And I never answer a question without first thinking and talking about them. And a lot of people are in extremely frustrating situations. They have personal situations that are not advantageous to this. They're trying to feed their families. They have no way to make a living. They are struggling. So I immediately think to those people, and it's not a few people. There are many millions of people in that position. And we're working on stuff all the time. And our organization, Jazz Lincoln Center, we're trying to stay afloat. So we're doing everything we can. A point that I try to make with us, we're keeping our staff together. We're being for real. We work in the context of the trust we've built up, much like what you see tonight. The fact that we have a relationship with Anat, and Anat played with Victor, and Victor with Hamilton and Reginald. We don't know him. This is the first time I'm really encountering him. But we have a love of the same kind of music. We have an experience we're dealing with. The fact that we have that understanding allows us to come together with optimism, though we have different points of view. And I always say, look at those things that Bach used to write and say to people to get them to support his music. The type of humility that was required for a musician on that level of mastery to survive writing his music. And we have to, in this period, channel that level of humility and ask those who are in our community to help us. And if we have the means to help other people, we have to help them. And I remain optimistic about the human condition, because I'm gonna go back to what Hamilton was saying. The longer your memory is, the more optimistic you are. There's been things before on earth, and there will be things again. And we have to always plug ourselves into the equation of how we feel. If we feel bad, stuff is bad. So yes, I feel, of course, I'm hurt. My father passed away. A lot of people's parents have passed away. Of course, we're struggling. We don't have the ability to earn money. We're struggling. Yes, it's a struggle, but many people are struggling. Many people are sick. Many people have jobs they have to go to. And I tend to put myself in the larger context and say that in the largest context, we're going to survive. And if it's not me to survive, maybe it's Anat. If it's not her, maybe it's Vic, or maybe it's Hamilton, or maybe it's Reginald. We don't know. So just normally I don't like to just hog the answer and take it all myself, but I'm going to just answer that one, and we'll go to the next one. So that's how I feel. I'm always optimistic, but I'm not a naive optimistic. I'm optimistic that I'm going to get up tomorrow and try to do everything I can humanly possible to be in a better situation and to be cognizant of people and try to make intelligent decisions that are not just the best decisions for me. And I'm also fortunate to be surrounded by great people. And my organization, with my friends, with people I know, it's one blessing. When you get in a bind, you get in a bad situation, you start to understand how important the quality of your friendships are.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wynton. Thanks.
You're right.
All right.
I want to say this also, because you have to take the opportunity to produce cool things and practice solidarity.
Right.
So be positive, and the most important for me is that practice solidarity.
Right.
This
come together. Be about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the time for that. It's not time for a slogan.
Exactly.
All right, let's take another question. We've got one from Xavier Moore. Xavier, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Marsalis. I'm so sorry your father died.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyways, I know a lot of stuff, and I also have 3 questions. 1, how can I get an audience? 2, do you have any recommendations on improvisation? 3, I think I know another person who you could play with once COVID-19 is over and you start doing shows again.
Okay, I didn't understand 3, but I'm gonna answer 1 and 2. I'm gonna get our guest to answer 1 and 2. How do you get an audience? I think I want to see what Anat thinks about how do you get an audience. Anat?
These days or in general?
These days, forget about it.
I think you have to stay true to yourself and and be who you are and find how to express it. And if you're honest, people will come to you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else got an answer for that?
Was it vague enough?
No, that was good. That was nothing wrong with that. There's no bad answers.
All right.
You know. Okay. The second one was about improvisation. Who wants to answer that one about improvisation? How do you improvise? Not all at once. Vic, you want to answer it?
Victor.
Reginald.
That's not my forte.
Respond to some of that, Wynton. I was muted out.
Right.
I think in just one sentence on the first question you had is to be present will allow you to develop an audience. So you can be present just like you're doing right now. Stay present in spite of COVID-19. In terms of improvisation, we often say that inside of that word is to improve. When we improvise, we try to improve upon what's there already. People improvise every day. We're improvising right now. We've improvised yesterday. We're going to improvise tomorrow. And to improvise means we're making things up as we go along. So in our musical training, especially as an educator, we focus on a lot of the technical things that it takes to play music. But I think if you just take out your instrument and start making up things on your own, and then find other people who make up things and compare what you're making up to theirs. In fact, when you find other people who you are comparing your stuff to, make it the greatest examples that you can come in contact with. So like Louis Armstrong, John Coltrane, Sidney Bechet, Anat, Hamilton, all the greats. You want to compare your stuff to theirs. That way you will have a good measurement to how you compare to something else. You always want to be next to the greatest thing that's around you.
Okay, what was your third question?
All right, now this one. All right. Now, have you ever heard of Jasmine Gent?
Jasmine what?
Jasmine Gent. She's a saxophone player.
Jasmine Jet.
Yeah, she's a saxophone player.
No. I wish I knew him. I don't know, Vic, you know.
We don't know him yet, but we're going to figure out how to meet them some way.
Right.
It's a she.
Right.
Jasmine Jet. We're gonna find her wherever she is. Where does she live?
She used to. Well, she was born in Germany and then we came to the USA, and I forgot where she lives. Well, Well, you could just email her. I met her once.
Okay.
I even got a business card.
Okay. All right. Well, we with you. It looked like it's past your bedtime, man. What time you go to sleep?
Since I'm staying home, I go to bed at 11.
How old are you?
I'm 11.
What? You're 11 going to bed at 11. Let me talk to you. Let me talk to your parents, man. I'll just mess with you. Thank you, man. Thank
That's
you for
right.
staying
I'm
up.
11.
All right. All right, little brother. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How old is your son you played with, Hamilton?
And now he has 12. 12.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's take another question. We've got one from Henry Burberry. Henry, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you guys, first of all, for all the stuff you're doing. It's really cool, and it kind of gives us some stuff to do. And my question is just, like, it sounds like you guys are all really well versed in a whole bunch of different genres of music. And how do you guys really approach like learning a new genre and getting into it?
Well, I think I'm gonna turn that over to Hamilton because he plays all kinds of music.
So I think you have to learn about music theory, of course, scales, arpeggios, harmony, but you have to to learn lots of melodies, lots of tunes. Is the best food in the sense of it's the best food to, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
If you learn, for example, if you want to play flamenco, you have to learn about 20, 3rd or 5th new songs from Paco de Lucia, from Tomatito, from Camarón de la Isla. So you have to know about this guy, but play the melodies and play lots of tunes. I think this is the recipe.
Thank you.
That's great. That made me think what I need to do. So
yeah, it's a good test for now, for these days.
Yeah, because that's the DNA of the music up in there.
I was gonna add. You might also want to learn to dance to the music.
Yes,
learn
perfect.
it.
Yeah.
Incorporate it with your corpo. Incorporate it.
Yes.
Right. That's right. That's right. And you start to find out how everything is connected. As the more things you learn, the more you see how something is like this. It's like people who know how to speak a lot of languages. They see similarities and they find patterns that are similar.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Henry. All right, guys, I think we've just got time for one more question. As we wind down, I'd just like to remind everybody quickly about all the live events we'll be continuing to host. We have question and answer sessions with Wynton Marsalis and special guests, master classes and conversations with members of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, live performances, free education classes, and more. We also premiered our gala concert last Wednesday, the 15th. It's called the Worldwide Concert for Our Culture. It can be found on YouTube, Facebook, and at jazz.org/gala2020. So be sure to check that out if you haven't. All right, so our last question will be coming from Casey Clark. Casey, you're unmuted, go ahead.
Hi, this question is actually for Anat. I remember meeting you last summer at Stanford after your concert. So I have a question. So I'm primarily a jazz clarinetist, but I play saxophone as well, but I get more gigs on saxophone. So how do you balance both instruments, keeping proficiency in both?
I had to divide my practice, and I found it easier to start practicing the clarinet and then move to the saxophone. But I think part of the trick is to actually learn how to switch between one another, because they both have a very different approach to the instrument. So for me, the making that mental switch is part of the practice, not only of each instrument, but also to be able to switch your head to what you're doing at the moment. Also inside, when you're at the gig and you want to move between one instrument and another, you have to make this little mental switch. So just have to get used to it, I think.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's see. Thanks again to everybody for joining us and being a part of this community. Jazz at Lincoln Center is a nonprofit organization in New York City committed to entertaining, enriching, and expanding a global community for jazz. If it's within your means, please consider making a donation. We're extraordinarily grateful for any support. And with that, I'd just like to thank Wynton Marsalis, Hamilton de Holanda, Anat Cohen, Victor Goines, Reginald Robinson, and all of you who asked questions and participated in this evening. Stay safe out there, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. I want to thank all my guests. I love y'all. I'm very appreciative. I learned a lot. Until we meet again. Much love and respect.
Thank you.
Love you, man.
Yeah,
love
man.
You.
Yes, indeed. Hamilton. All right, Reginald. Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'm going to call you, bro. Reginald. I got to rap with you.
All right.
All right, now. Vic.
Yeah, you're right, man. Peace.
Crescent City. All right. Thank y'all. Unane. Unane, baby. Hey, pocket way.
Yes.
That's Bayao. All right, man.
All right.
I'll see y'all.
Later.
See you.
Okay,
All right.
goodbye.
Bye.